Hey everyone, it's Ryan with SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com, and let's talk about the Sacramento market, where it's at so far in early 2019. Okay, I really want to look at three things. Number one, prices. Let's look at sales volume, and lastly, let's look at momentum in the market. Okay, I just want to give you a few things to think about, some things to watch as the year unfolds, or if you work in real estate, maybe some things to share with clients. Okay, these are some important elements as they unfold. So let's look at prices. Here's the median price in the region over time, and you can see that prices have clearly risen, but there's this very cyclical vibe every year where prices go up in the spring, they level off, and then they slough. 2018 had a very definitive dull slump. Okay, and we'll unpack that a little bit more, but you can kind of start to see that prices are just beginning to tick up right now. And so that's kind of what normally happens in a spring season. Okay, in a normal spring, we start to see that prices sort of pick up where they left off in the summertime. All right, so will we see to that extent this year? I think that's unknown, but so far we're starting to see the market really pick up. And I'll unpack that more what that means. Here's a few different price metrics. Here's the average price, 3 years of it. You can see a very cyclical trend, but then look, the average price has started to tick up so far in the year. Here's the median price with an uptick, and here's the average price per square foot with a little bit of an uptick. All right. Here's a different way to look at it. The median price in Sacramento County is up 2% so far from January. It's up 1%. The average price per square foot is up about 0.5%. Months of housing supply has been declining. Some people think, what's happening? That's not normal, or what's happening in the market? I'd say no, it's actually normal to see the months of housing supply slough during this time. Okay, and it's normal for it to sort of hover around the same level, and then it starts to go up in a few months. Okay, most of the listings, buyers, if you're wondering where they're at, well, we don't have the bulk of listings hit in March. We typically have a lot more listings come to the market in April. Okay, so keep your eye on things. There is hope. There will be more listings coming. Here's a great way to look at the current market, though, because we're in this place where we don't have a lot of sales from 2019 that really show us what the market's like yet. Okay, we kind of have to wait until March and April until current pendings close. I would say that the market overall has had sort of an uncertain vibe these past 2 quarters, where many wondered, well, where's the market going? And I don't understand what's going on with volume slumping, and it feels like maybe buyers have put on the brakes. And so the market felt very uncertain for a couple quarters, but I would say so far in 2019, it's best categorized as maybe flirting with normalcy. It feels like all the price metrics are showing more normalcy. And why is this happening? Well, I think in large part interest rates went down, and that's like a steroid for the market. It's fueling demand. It's getting buyers off the fence to play the market. When interest rates went up last year, buyers really reacted strongly. And so it just shows that we have, I think, in an unhealthy aspect, a market that's really sensitive to rate changes. Okay, but look with me here. So we see pending sales in February, very normal and just a little bit higher than they were last February. Okay, and January was fairly normal also. It shows a little bit of down this year compared to last year, but overall we've seen that pendings have appeared fairly normal so far in 2019, and that's important because for a number of months pendings were very low as the market was slumping. And so pendings today, if theoretically, if they're showing normalcy, then when they close escrow in a couple months in March and April, we might see more of a normalcy in volume. And that's really important because here's the bigger picture of sales volume. February volume this year was down about 10% compared to last year. And overall, in the past 12 months, we've seen about a 5% hit to sales volume in Sacramento County. So there were 5% less sales. Now, this isn't astronomically significant. This isn't a huge number. As you look at the number of sales, I mean, look, it was actually a lot higher than it was in 14 and 15. Okay, but we kind of look and go, okay, sales volume was a little lower. But here's the region. You see that overall the region is down about 6.5%. Okay, now there's just under 27,000 sales. Definitely, less compared to the past couple years. But you can kind of see that the market in 2014 and 15 was pretty similar to where it was over these past 12 months. Okay, and so that's important to watch. And I would really say that one of the things we need to watch in today's market is what happens with volume. Here's a different way to look at it. Here's Sacramento County, where we'd see over the past 9 months in a row, volume has been down compared to the previous year. Now, if we have normal pendings right now, then we might see normal volume in the next couple months. You might see a couple upticks here. All right. But if this trend persists, then we would have to say, hey, time out, the market has started to do something else. If it persists at a very low rate, we would say, hey, things are softer. If it started to massively decline and we see these huge volume differences, then we would say there's obviously a bigger change happening here. Here's what the region looks like. Okay, very similar to the county. But here's what we saw in 2005 when the market was utterly tanking. And I think this is very important to clue into and to watch, because there are hints here for what does a market look like when it begins to change more significantly. And I'd say two things. Number one, we see the change first in the listings. What is happening with listings? Okay, if listings stop, if buyers sort of put their foot on the brake pedal and they're no longer offering, then we see the change first in the listings, probably by housing inventory going up and sentiment among buyers. But then we see it in sales volume and where properties stop selling. And in this year, sales volume was down 40% over 1 year. That is absolutely huge. This is a clue into what happens when a market makes a very significant change. This is a meltdown. Okay, now in the Sacramento region, we had an absolute slowdown over the past couple quarters, but I would say it is not the same thing as a market that's utterly tanking or a meltdown. So some people look today and go, hey, these are some red flags, and I would concur and say, it's a possibility that this could be a red flag. It's not a good thing when volume drops, but I think we have to kind of see how things are going to play out though this year also. Okay, so we're not experiencing this for now. I don't think it's correct to call this market a meltdown because we're just not seeing that statistically. All right, so but here's the deal. It was a really dull fall. Is it more though? Is there something else happening in the market? And I would actually say yes. And here's what I mean. Price momentum has begun to slow. Okay, Barry Habib, he works in the loan industry. Maybe he's an economist, does some other stuff, but he had a fantastic analogy and said that the market was really aggressive, and it's like the market was driving 80 miles per hour, and now it's driving 30. And I think that this is a fantastic comparison because really the market was very aggressive for many years, and now it's not so aggressive. We're seeing momentum slow. And here's what I mean exactly. When we look at February sales from 2013 to 2019, here's the median price every February. And you can kind of see in the early years there were massive changes, massive increases in value from February to February. And then over time, here we see a market that was much more subdued, where this February was only up less than 4% compared to the last year. This is only 1 month of data. We need more to really see the market. So here's the past 90 days for each respective year. Okay, and as you can see, massive increases in the early days when the market was very aggressive, but you can see this last year, prices were only up, 4% or so. And this is why sometimes when we're choosing comps in today's market for properties, there's not as much of a value difference compared to last year. All right. And so it's not 2013 where you look at properties and go, wow, everything's selling for 10% more. We don't have that sort of dynamic. Okay, here's the annual median price where we see that over time, keep in mind each of these 12 months has about 27 to 29,000 sales. There are a lot of data points here, okay? But you can kind of see the rate of change decrease over time. And so last year you can see that yes, it's still up at 5%. The market has still been driving forward. It's just not going 80 miles per hour. Okay, and so I think that's really important to pay attention to. Sometimes I get a little bit of blowback when I say that the market's slowing, because right now in the spring, the market doesn't feel slow. It feels more aggressive, it's competitive. My guess is that in the next couple months, we'll see about 50% of all sales have more than one offer. Okay, so there's a lot of competition out there. Okay, the market buyers really have to bring a strong offer. The market is absolutely biting on properties when they're priced correctly. Overpriced stuff, buyers are passing. They're absolutely not offering. Okay, the stuff that's in good condition and priced well, they are pulling the trigger very quickly. But so in that sense, I would say the market's not slow because it's competitive, but in the big picture of things, I think statistically we have to see that, yeah, momentum has been slowing. It's not that market from 2013 and 14 any longer. It's a much more subdued market that's more sensitive to price increases. This makes sense too, since prices have risen, we're struggling with affordability more. Anyway, I could go on and on. I hope this was helpful. I'll link to a blog post I just wrote with the latest graphs. There's a ton of visuals. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up, like it, comment below if you wish. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.